Have you ever had that sinking feeling where you're spending more time fixing broken tests than you are actually building new features? Yeah, we've all been there. Well, today we're going to dive into a testing framework that's built specifically to solve that headache and get your entire setup ready for an AI-powered future.
So here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll talk about the problem that I think plagues almost every development team. Then we'll introduce Cypress Bootstrap as the solution, and we'll dig into the solid principles that make it tick. After that, we'll check out its powerful built-in features. And finally, we'll look ahead to see how this whole approach gets us ready for a much smarter way of testing.
All right, let's start at the beginning, the core challenge. Why is it that so many test automation projects start out with so much promise, but eventually just spiral into this massive, unmanageable mess?
Let me just ask you this, and be honest. Does it ever feel like your test suite has become this huge drag on your team's velocity? You spend more time babysitting flaky tests than actually shipping code. This right here is what I call the maintenance trap. Your tests are brittle, they break with the tiniest little UI change, you've got duplicated code everywhere, and before you know it, the very thing that was supposed to give you confidence has become the biggest bottleneck in your entire workflow. It's a nightmare.
So the big question is, how do you break out of that trap? Well, this is where the Cypress Bootstrap framework comes into the picture. It offers a really structured, opinionated approach that can completely change the game.
Now, the most important thing to understand here is that this is not just another library of helper functions. No, it's a complete, production-ready scaffold. It sets up your entire project from day one with a really clear structure, using battle-tested patterns like the page object model and the safety of TypeScript right out of the box.
And what I love about this slide is how these goals are a direct answer to all those problems we just talked about. I mean, it's designed to get new developers writing good tests fast. It ensures the code base stays clean as it grows. And this is the really cool part. It's built from the ground up with the future of AI-assisted coding in mind.
Okay, so how does it actually pull all of that off? Well, it all starts with a rock-solid foundation that's built on proven software design principles.
The secret sauce, really, is the page object model, or POM for short. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. We create this clean separation between the logic of our tests, what we're trying to do, and the messy details of how we actually interact with the page, like clicking buttons and finding CSS selectors.
And this is where the magic happens. Think about it. When a developer changes a button's ID, you don't have to go hunt through 20 different test files. You just update it in one place, the page object, and you're done. Your tests become these clean, readable stories about user behavior. And TypeScript adds this awesome safety net that catches silly mistakes before you even run a single test.
This slide is the perfect before and after picture. We're moving away from all the things that cause flaky tests, like fragile selectors and random weights, and we're shifting to a much more robust, professional way of testing, where every single test can stand completely on its own.
This structure is the literal blueprint for that new way of thinking. Everything has a predictable home. Page objects live in pages, tests go in tests, and this clarity isn't just nice for us humans, it gives AI tools these stable, predictable roadmaps to understand and correctly modify the codebase.
Okay, so we've got this amazing foundation, but that's just the beginning. The framework also comes with some seriously powerful tools integrated right out of the box that go way beyond just clicking around on a web page.
A modern application is so much more than just its user interface. This framework gets that, and it treats API testing as a first-class citizen, with a complete type-safe architecture for talking directly to your backend.
And here's why this is such a game changer. Just like page objects clean up your UI tests, these API clients do the same for your API tests. They hide all that repetitive, boring boilerplate of building HTTP requests, so your tests can finally read like a business scenario, not a jumbled mess of headers and endpoint URLs. And of course, running tests is totally pointless if you can't easily figure out what happened. So reporting is built in and already configured from the start to work perfectly inside a modern CI/CD pipeline.
This setup gives you the best of both worlds. You get these beautiful, human-readable HTML reports with screenshots embedded right in them, which makes debugging a failed test so much easier. And you also get machine-readable JUnit XML reports that plug directly into tools like Jenkins or Circle CI so you can track your results over time.
All right, so we've got a solid structure and powerful features. Let's bring this all home and see how this all comes together to prepare your testing strategy not just for today, but for what's coming next. This is where that strict, predictable structure we talked about earlier pays its biggest dividend. It wasn't just designed to be neat and tidy for human developers, it was intentionally designed so that AI copilots and code gen tools can understand and work with it. And this quote from the source material just nails it. Large language models, they thrive on consistency and patterns. When an AI can clearly see where page objects live, how selectors are defined, and where tests are supposed to go, it can generate incredibly high-quality, accurate code. A messy codebase just confuses it. A clean one makes it a superpowered assistant.
So let's just boil this all down. What does this actually mean for you? It means faster onboarding, way less time wasted on maintenance, and a huge boost in confidence every time you deploy. But just as important, you're building a testing asset that is ready for the next generation of AI-powered development.
And I'll just leave you with that question. Because building a well-structured test framework today isn't just about writing better tests for tomorrow. It's about creating a foundation that's robust, maintainable, and ready to evolve with the absolutely incredible pace of technology.